لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين. وبعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. قال الله تبارك وتعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال: يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة، وخلق منها زوجها، وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام، إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. وقال: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق. When we think about good character, the thought that immediately comes to mind is when I meet someone, I smile. When I see someone walking, I help them with their bags. If I see someone heading towards the door, I will open the door. we have an understanding of what it means to display good character. However, whether we understand it or not, many of us are very inconsistent in the way we enact and display our good character. And I'm not saying that if somebody comes to us, we won't smile, or we won't open the door, or we won't help an old lady with her groceries. We'll do all of that. But the focus of my conversation today is our interactions and our character in the online sphere. It is as though we live two parallel lives. A person I meet in person, I will smile, I will be so kind and generous. But the moment I hide behind the screen of my smartphone or my monitor or my social media presence, it is as though everything I learned about my good character went out the window. We're at a point today in this modern era that we live in that we need to learn and remind ourselves that the same ahadith that tell us to control our tongues applies to the way I message to other people. The same ahadith that tells me to control my eyesight also tells me not to look at images in a particular way. The same ahadith that tells me not to waste my time in la ya'ni, in things that are frivolous and unnecessary, is also applicable to me just scrolling on my news feed aimlessly for hours. We're at a point today where each and every one of us, to an extent, it's as though we live two separate lives. There's me as a person physically, and there's me in the online, in the social media presence. And sometimes, unfortunately, the two are very hard to recognize. It's like it's my alter ego, it's like a completely different side of me. So it's important and it's high time that we understand that as Muslims, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam tells me to exemplify good character, it applies to my online presence, it applies to my emails and my messages. It's such a heartbreaking scene when you're part of a chat, whether it's a family chat, whether it's a work chat, whether it's a community chat, and the level of decorum and conversation is so unfortunate and is so foul and is so filled with su'ul dhan and so filled with harsh language, because you know, if these two people met in person, you would not see that type of behavior. That I'm messaging my friend, and then when I message that person, I start doubting them, judging them, saying things, slandering them. But when I meet them in person, I'm smiling, I'm interacting with them. So the three things I feel that are important for us to discuss today. Number one, our character online. Our character in off-site presence. And that consumes a large portion of our interactions today. Whether we like it or not, I spend often hours either on my phone, on my laptop, on my computer, messaging people, interacting people, having meetings. And it is as though those settings don't have any barriers. I can be whoever I want. The second part of this conversation is the idea of privacy and envy. And the third part of this conversation is how we don't have ostentation and show off. These are three very crucial reminders for myself. And for many people listening to me right now, they may be wondering, this is a very odd topic. What are you talking about? Whether we like to admit it or not, just like we talk about good akhlaq in person, there's an equal, if not greater, need to remind ourselves of demonstrating the same amount of akhlaq, not in person, but online as well. So the first thing we have to understand is our character when interacting with people. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he mentions in a narration recorded in Al-Adab al-Mufrad, he says, إني لأرى الجواب للخطاب حقا كرد السلام. He says, if somebody sends me a letter, I find it necessary to respond to that person just as if I met that person face to face. Very small hadith, but it exemplifies an amazing character. He says, if somebody sends me a letter and in that letter they say, Assalamu alaikum, how are you doing? Ibn Abbas is saying, just like if I met that person face to face, the way I would interact and respond, that same amount of importance and decorum I would display if he sent me a letter. And sending letters was the form of communication back then. Today, it's the way we email and chat and speak to one another. Just like if I met someone, I will not be harsh, then when I interact with them online, we cannot be harsh either. When Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that some people, because of one word they say, they will climb to Jannah. And other people, because of one word they say, they will fall to the depths of Jahannam. That doesn't only mean if I say something with my tongue. But if I'm writing something and typing something and emailing something and commenting on something, not realizing that there's a human being on the other side, I will equally be held accountable. I can't think that if I slander someone or if I curse someone physically, Allah will take me to account. But if I hide behind some screen name or some social media account, and then I say the exact same thing, somehow I'm not held accountable. No, equally. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the Quran, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, the hidayah of the Quran is for people who understand the unseen. Because whether somebody can see me or not, I display and exemplify the same amount of beautiful character. It's just very heartbreaking. You see the types of interaction today, whether it's in a family chat, group chat, community chat, a Muslim community chat, and the type of back and forth that happens is so vulgar, it's so unfortunate, and it's heartbreaking. That one person will say something with a good intention and somebody will respond back and say, who do you think you are? And that person responds back. And there's this unfortunate back and forth that's very ugly. And then you begin to think to yourself that do we live two different lives? A life in person and a life online. When Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he tells us that every single thing that you say will be reset to you on the day of judgment. Everything that I see will be recorded and shown to me on the day of judgment. Do we not think that it doesn't apply when nobody sees me? And unfortunately, at the heart of this unfortunate circumstance that we're in right now, at the heart of this is the concept of dehumanization. What is dehumanization? That when my interaction is with a physical human being, I can see their eyes, I can see their face, I can see their interactions, I can see their feelings. I gave this example the other day. Sometimes my daughter, she's 4 years old almost, she'll do things that I think to myself, you know what? I can't allow her to do it anymore. For instance, it's 9 o'clock at night and she wants to go grab some chocolates or some candy and eat it. Now, I don't want her to get too energetic at night, so I think it's a very bad idea, and I think all parents would agree with me on this. However, a few nights ago, she is supposed to go to sleep. She opens up the pantry. MashaAllah, she's gotten so big, she can get on a stool, grab some candy from there, and then she comes to me and says, Baba, I want to have the chocolate. I look at the time and I say, if you get energetic right now, not only will you not sleep, nobody in this house is going to sleep. But the moment she says, Baba, can I have it? I just looked at her face and my heart melted. My heart melted because I saw the way she asked me. I saw the plea in her tone. I saw the way she said it to me. It automatically softened my heart. And imagine down the line, if she texted me when she grows up that, oh, can I have a chocolate? My first response would be, go to sleep. Don't even bother asking me. Why? Because I am looking at a text. I'm not conversing with a human being. Imagine that analogy when we interact with people. You know, when we're emailing and talking, I have the gall, I have the audacity to curse someone, to be foul, to interact very harshly. Why? Because I'm just sending words to another social media account. I'm sending words to another person. I'm commenting on a Facebook post. I'm replying to a Twitter response. That's all I'm doing. It's not a human being. When we dehumanize the people we interact with, it is as though we're not speaking to human beings anymore. We're just speaking to robots. We're speaking to machines. So I don't have that same amount of khashya and khawf. That should never be the case. That should never be the case. So the first thing is our akhlaq and our character needs to be impeccable. And this is one exercise that can help us, that whenever we interact with someone, imagine you are speaking to them face to face. Imagine you are speaking to them face to face. Not like I use some very cowardly language. I use very harsh language without any consideration. So that's the first topic. The second topic is the idea of, it's partially related to privacy and the other partial is related to envy. When we have a social media presence, many of us just love to share everything online. I'm having a meal with my family, I'm going to share it online. I'm going for an outing, I'm going to share it online. I'm going for Umrah, the whole world needs to know. I'm making dua during the time of tahajjud, my light's not even on, but I'm going to take a selfie and let the world know. We have to understand that envy and hasad is a reality. That the moment I'm online displaying to the world what an amazing life I'm living, a number of things are going to happen. Number one, I'm going to have people who are jealous. And then when ayn, the evil eye, affects me, I start looking left and right. What's happening? Why am I suffering? But if I'm putting my whole life on display and letting the world know what a great life I'm living, then not only will people be jealous, I'm making other people's lives miserable. There are people online who are struggling, and when they see this, it makes them have this sense of, no worthlessness. I have to be very cautious what I post. I have to be very cautious what I share about my life. Now that's from the side of somebody who shares. But what about the side of somebody who views? Privacy is so important. When sometimes we're scrolling and somebody sends a family picture, we do certain things that we would never do outside. We start looking at that person's family. Now, whether I should put pictures of my family up or not is a separate question. That's not a smart idea regardless. So that's not a conversation we're having right now. The conversation is more when I'm scrolling and I look at somebody's, family picture, I start observing things that I shouldn't be. I start looking at their spouse, I start looking at their children. Now imagine if I'm walking with that family in person, am I going to stare at them? Am I going to look at them? Am I going to be that creepy? No. But now, mashallah, I'm hiding behind a screen. Nobody's looking at me. I'm going to be browsing through their family pictures. I'm going to look at their history. I'm going to look at their family. I'm just going to be, probing into their lives. Now, we can make the argument, oh, they made it public, so it's public information. Put that to the side. As an individual, I need some accountability. That just like I wouldn't want somebody looking at my family, just like if I were in person, I wouldn't be making eye contact and looking at someone inappropriately. We need the same amount of decorum and akhlaq when we interact online. And last but not least, to wrap up this entire conversation, when we talk about online presence, when we talk about group chats and emails and whatever the case may be, we have to understand that we are never alone. If I think I'm in my closet with the lights off and I have my phone underneath my blanket and I'm cursing at this person and I'm yelling at that person, I'm being harsh with that person, I may think I'm alone, but there are two angels on my shoulders writing down every single thing that I am doing. And that is key. When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam took the bay'ah from the Sahaba, he reminded them to have taqwa fi sidri wal alan. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam reminded them, have taqwa fi sidri wal alan. That you have taqwa when you're in front of everybody. MashaAllah, assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam, opening the door, helping them out, giving them a ride. How are you doing? How's your family? في العلن, when you're in front of everybody. But في السر as well, when nobody is looking. And in our context, when nobody is looking means when I'm hiding behind a screen, when I'm hiding behind a social media name. This is one of the unfortunate things, bullying, where they talk about cyberbullying. This leads to an unprecedented amount of anxiety and depression amongst kids, amongst teenagers. As parents, if we're not aware about this, we have to be aware. Cyberbullying is an unfortunate calamity today, where kids are bullying one another. In the past, when they wanted to bully somebody, you'll pick him up and push him against a locker. That may not happen as much today as someone is making fun of someone online, bullying someone online, and it leads to very, very unfortunate situations. And as a parent, I need to be aware. What's my child busy with? Is he someone who is doing this? Is he someone affected? These are all very serious conversations we need to have. This topic is very lengthy. I'm going to end on one note. This topic is very lengthy. The topic of what's my interaction with somebody else online? What's my limits of what I should share, what I can view, privacy? What's my understanding of my children's interactions with this as a Muslim? These are conversations we need to have as a community, and we need to have them very quickly. Because until we stop this, I'm living two lives, then I can be a pious saint when I'm walking, but when I am typing, I'm worse than a devil. And these are cases that we see. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminds us, fi sirri wal alan, whether I'm face to face or whether I'm behind a screen, I will have the same taqwa, I will have the same consciousness, and I will display the same beautiful behavior. So in summary, as Ibn Abbas reminded us, when I interact with someone, the amount of obligation I feel to be kind to them, to respond to them, I have an equal amount of responsibility when they send a letter to me, when they communicate with me, not face to face. Taking that as our point of departure, we want to emulate that in all of our online interactions as well. That I smile, I respond, I have husnul dhan, I don't judge, I don't slander, I don't start unfortunate and inaccurate false rumors. I don't do any of that stuff. I keep myself clear. I control my eyes. I control what I show to the world. And most importantly, I'm always aware that Allah is watching me, whether I like it or not. Angels are writing every single thing that I type, every single thing that I watch. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us taqwa, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the beautiful character, whether people are seeing us or not. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا فيا فوز المستغفر. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة. من يطع الله ورسوله فقد رشد واهتدى، ومن يعص الله ورسوله فقد ضل وغوى. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه وأتباعه أجمعين. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: الله الله في أصحابي لا تتخذوهم غرضا من بعدي، فمن أحبهم فبحبي أحبهم، ومن أبغضهم فببغضي أبغضهم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه، وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم انصر من نصر الدين. اللهم انصر من نصر الدين. اللهم انصر من نصر الدين. اللهم أجرنا من النار. اللهم أجرنا من النار. يا مجير يا مجير يا مجير. آمين يا رب العالمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. قال الله تبارك وتعالى: فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون يا معشر المسلمين أقيموا الصلاة وسووا صفوفكم. Brothers who are outside are requested to come in and fill in any gaps in the main musalla, and brothers